Hello, Falcons fans. Today, we're diving deep into the potential cut candidates for Atlanta following the NFL draft. As the roster takes shape, some tough decisions loom on the horizon. So, let's break down who might be on the chopping block and what it means for the team's future. Spotlight on Arnold Ebiketie. First up, let's talk about Arnold Ebiketie, a former second-round pick who finds himself in a precarious position. While it may be premature to declare his fate, it's essential to keep him on your radar. The Falcons have made significant moves this offseason, adding not one, not two, but three outside linebackers. They brought in veteran Leonard Floyd through free agency, drafted Jalen Walker, and traded back into the first round for James Pierce. With these additions, the competition for roster spots has intensified. The numbers game. To put things into perspective, last year only 5 outside linebackers made the initial 53-man roster. If we assume that Floyd, Walker, and Pierce are locks to make the team, that leaves us with a tight race for the remaining spots. Let's not forget Brillon Trice, a third-round pick from last year who missed the entire season due to a torn ACL. If we pencil in those 4 players as near certainties, Arnold Ebiketie is now fighting for that 5th spot. The uncertainty of roster decisions. While it's unlikely that Ebiketie will be cut outright, the Falcons have a history of surprising roster decisions come September. With the emergence of Walker and Pierce, the front office might decide that they've given Ebiketie ample time to develop into a full-time starter. If they feel he hasn't met expectations, they could opt to allocate that roster spot to a different position or a younger player. The path forward for Ebiketie. For Ebiketie to solidify his place on the roster, he'll need to showcase significant improvement during training camp. One potential scenario could involve the Falcons shifting Walker to inside linebacker, which would open up a spot for Ebiketie. If they decide to utilize Walker in a hybrid role, similar to Caden Ellis, it could create a pathway for Ebiketie to remain with the team. Conclusion: the road ahead. As we look ahead to training camp and the preseason, the competition will only heat up. The Falcons are in a position to make bold moves, and every player will need to bring their A-game. Keep an eye on Arnold Ebiketie in the outside linebacker position as we inch closer to the start of the season. The decisions made in the coming weeks could shape the future of the Falcons for years to come. Stay tuned. If Arnold Ebiketie transitions to inside linebacker, it opens up a crucial spot for outside linebackers, giving him a golden opportunity to solidify his role on the team. This is where he can truly make his mark. Leonard Floyd, the under-the-radar signing. Let's take a moment to appreciate Leonard Floyd, a signing that has flown under the radar but could prove pivotal for the Falcons. Remember, Floyd was a top 10 pick by the Chicago Bears and has shown remarkable consistency over the past 4 years, despite bouncing around a bit. His standout performance in 2021 with Raheem Morris in Los Angeles, where he racked up 9.5 sacks during their Super Bowl run, is a testament to his ability. Since then, he's maintained impressive numbers: 9 sacks, 10.5 sacks, and 8.5 sacks in consecutive seasons. While we may not see him hit double digits next year, if he can deliver more than 6.5 sacks, it would be a game-changer for General Manager Terry Fontenot, who has yet to experience that kind of production from his pass rush. The pressure on Ebiketie Arnold finds himself in a precarious position, especially with 2 new players at his position being drafted and the addition of a free agent. Plus, Brillon Trice, a third-round pick from last year, is making his return after a season-ending ACL injury. The competition is fierce, and Ebiketie is feeling the heat. Predicting the sacks, who will shine? Now, let's talk about the pass rush. Among the top 3 contenders, who do you think will lead the team in sacks? My money is on the veteran Leonard Floyd. Jalen Walker may face an adjustment period transitioning to the outside, as he didn't play that role extensively at Georgia. James Pierce will also need time to adapt, shifting from a speed-dominant player to one who can blend speed with power, an essential combination for success at this level. So I'm placing my bets on Floyd, the proven performer who has consistently delivered at a high level year after year. The quarterback conundrum, D. Alfred's future. Now let's shift gears and discuss another veteran who could be on the hot seat, quarterback D. Alfred. Initially, the Falcons didn't seem inclined to bring him back, opting not to place a tender on him and allowing him to explore the open market. However, they ultimately decided to re-sign their starting nickel from last season. As we look ahead, I'm projecting Clark Phillips to step into the starting nickel position. This move could signal a shift in the Falcons' defensive strategy, and it's crucial to keep an eye on how these decisions unfold as we approach the season. Conclusion: the road ahead. As training camp approaches, the competition for roster spots will intensify. The decisions made now will shape the Falcons' defensive identity for the upcoming season. Keep watching as we break down these pivotal moments and the players who will define the future of this franchise. The stakes are high and every player will need to rise to the occasion. Stay tuned for more insights. As we dive deeper into the Falcons roster, one of the most intriguing competitions is shaping up at the nickel position. Expect to see a fierce battle among Clark Phillips, D. Alfred, and rookie Billy Bowman. This trio will be vying for a critical role in the secondary, and it's going to be a fascinating showdown. The rookie factor: Billy Bowman. Billy Bowman, a fourth-round pick, is making the transition from safety to nickel, which is no small feat. While he may be at the back of the pack initially, his performance during OTAs and minicamp could change the narrative. If the coaching staff is impressed with what they've seen from Bowman and Clark Phillips, they might be inclined to hand the reins to the younger players. The undrafted free agent. Surprise, Kobe Bryant. Let's not overlook another rookie in the mix. Undrafted free agent Kobe Bryant from Kansas. With multiple Big 12 Player of the Year nominations under his belt, he's a player to watch. If he can make the switch to nickel effectively, the Falcons might reconsider their commitment to D. Alfred. The front office may have initially brought Alfred back, but with the emergence of these younger talents, they could opt for a fresh start rather than sticking with below-average nickel play from the previous season. D. Alfred's job security. With two promising rookies pushing for playing time, D. Alfred's job security is definitely in jeopardy. The Falcons may decide it's time to invest in the future rather than continue with a player who hasn't consistently delivered. The pressure is mounting, and Alfred will need to step up his game to secure his spot on the roster. The final cut. Candidate: a surprising name. Now let's shift gears and discuss my third and final cut candidate. Brace yourselves because this name might raise some eyebrows. Kirk Cousins. Yes, you heard that right. While it may seem unlikely, I included him for a few reasons. The unlikely scenario first: it's probably the least likely scenario to unfold, but it's worth considering. The Falcons could explore the idea of moving on from Cousins if they feel that the future lies with a younger quarterback. As we know, the NFL is a business, and sometimes tough decisions must be made for the greater good of the franchise. Conclusion: the road ahead. As we approach training camp, the competition for roster spots will only intensify. The decisions made now will shape the Falcons' identity for the upcoming season. Keep an eye on these battles as they could have significant implications for the team's future. The stakes are high and every player will need to rise to the occasion. Stay tuned for more insights as we continue to break down the Falcons roster and the players who will define their season. As we delve into the complexity surrounding Kirk Cousins, it's clear that the situation is anything but straightforward. The Falcons have expressed some interest in moving him, with Raheem Morris stating, "If it's good for Kirk and it's good for us, we'd explore that opportunity." Initially, the narrative was that Cousins was firmly positioned as the backup, but that stance has shifted. Now the Falcons seem open to the idea of trading him if the right deal comes along. The trade market dilemma. However, the trade market for Cousins isn't exactly bustling. With the Pittsburgh Steelers potentially signing Aaron Rodgers, the landscape for quarterback vacancies is becoming increasingly murky. If the Falcons find themselves without a clear trade destination for Cousins, they'll face a tough decision. Do they stick to their word about keeping him as a backup, or do they explore other options? The backup dilemma. Having Cousins as a backup isn't the worst-case scenario, especially if he's comfortable in that role. He's shown up for voluntary practices and has generally been a good sport about the situation. But if training camp rolls around and it becomes evident that he's not fully committed to being a backup, perhaps he's more focused on his own preparation than on helping Michael Penix get ready, the Falcons may reconsider their stance. The risk of discontent. The last thing the Falcons want is a disgruntled player on their roster. If the coaching staff senses early on that Cousins isn't bought into the backup role, they might decide it's best to part ways. This might sound extreme, especially considering they retained him after the 5th day of the new league year and took on a $10 million roster bonus. A cautionary tale. We've seen similar situations play out in the league, like the Texans' handling of Deshaun Watson. While the scenarios aren't directly comparable, Watson requested a trade while Cousins has not formally done so, there are parallels. Cousins did meet with Arthur Blank for an hour to express his desire to start, which could be interpreted as a subtle request for a trade. The bottom line: if the Falcons want to avoid having a player who feels like a hostage on their roster, they'll need to act decisively. If no trade partner emerges, it wouldn't be shocking to see them make a bold move. The coming weeks will be critical as the Falcons navigate this complex situation, and it will be fascinating to see how it unfolds. Conclusion: the road ahead. As we continue to analyze the roster and the dynamics at play, keep an eye on Kirk Cousins and the quarterback situation. The decisions made now could have lasting implications for the Falcons' future. The stakes are high, and every move will be scrutinized as we approach the season. Stay tuned for more insights as we break down the latest developments in Falcons football. As the Falcons weigh their options with Kirk Cousins, several scenarios could unfold, each with its own implications for the team and the player. Let's break down the potential paths ahead. Option 1. Embracing the backup role. The first option is straightforward. The Falcons could approach Kirk and ask him to embrace his new role as a backup. They need him to be a team player, to put on a smile and accept this change without resentment. However, for this to work, Kirk must be willing to buy into the idea of being a backup. It requires a mutual understanding and a bit of give and take from both sides. If he can accept this role, it could lead to a stable situation for the team. Option 2. The injury trade. The second option hinges on the unpredictable nature of the NFL. An injury during training camp. If a quarterback on another team goes down, the Falcons could quickly trade Cousins to fill that void. This scenario is a bit of a gamble as it relies on circumstances beyond their control, but it's a possibility that could benefit both parties. Option 3. The stay-at-home strategy. In the third scenario, the Falcons might tell Kirk, "We want you to be a backup, but it seems you're not interested in that role, so stay at home and we'll pay you to sit on your couch." This option would keep Cousins on the roster without the pressure of being involved in the day-to-day operations. The hope would be that an injury occurs elsewhere, allowing them to trade him to a team in need. It's a less conventional approach, but it could work if both sides agree to it. Option 4. Cutting ties. The fourth and perhaps most drastic option is for the Falcons to cut their losses altogether. If they determine that Kirk isn't committed to being part of the team, they might decide to rip the Band-Aid off and move on. This could happen if they feel they overplayed their hand in trying to secure a trade, or if Cousins refuses to waive his no-trade clause. The bottom line is that the Falcons won't want to hold on to a player who doesn't want to be there, and if Kirk's meeting with the owner signals discontent, they may choose to part ways. Conclusion: the road ahead. As we navigate these potential outcomes, it's clear that the situation with Kirk Cousins is fluid and complex. The Falcons must make a decision that aligns with their long-term goals while also considering the player's feelings and desires. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button to stay informed and entertained throughout the offseason as we cover all things Falcons. And for those of you who stick around until the end, shout out your city in the chat. I love seeing where our dedicated viewers are tuning in from. Your support means the world, and together we'll keep the conversation going as we head into what promises to be an exciting season for the Dirty Birds.